Hey, it's James and Michael here with the Crypto Guys. And in today's video, we're going to talk about one question that you need to ask yourself to help manage risk when you are trading crypto, because really that's what it's all about. It's about managing your risk. But before we get into that, a quick disclaimer. The information in this video is not intended as financial advice. Like with any investment, you need to do your own due diligence. So, Michael, let's talk a little bit about risk today. Actually, you have 5 questions you ask yourself before you make a trade. We're not going to go through all 5 of those today, but we are going to talk about one. But even before we get to that, let's talk a little bit about the thinking, the mindset of somebody who's a successful trader.
By the way, before I answer that, let's just take a quick look at the Bitcoin, and we can see yesterday, if you remember, we were right here, and now we broke through and we're on our way up. So we're going to come back and tell you what's going to happen next. But before we do that, yeah, it's very important that we have the right thinking. You know, James, you know, we were in a coaching background. Both of us teach about success and all that stuff. And one of the things that's important to be successful is to model successful people. Like, what do successful people think about most of the time? So it's the same thing with investors. You know, what do successful investors think about most of the time that allows them to be successful? So that means we really need to consider what is the thought that successful investors have.
Yeah, I'm glad you said this, because some people get into crypto and they're just thinking like, okay, well, what do I buy? Like, how much money can I make? And they're not thinking on that other dimension. It really is a mindset. I think a lot of great traders develop the mindset over time, but you can fast track that process by installing that right mindset in the beginning. And so that's really what we're trying to say here.
That's right. Now let's look at a quote from Warren Buffett, which I really like. And let's based on that way of thinking, right? So the market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. Now, what that means to me is this, that maybe it's not clearly described that way, but investment is really about risk management. So what I like to do today is explain how to look at risk. Like, how do you know if you're buying is high risk, medium risk? We briefly talked about it yesterday, but today I want to talk about that. I want to jump into that so that our viewers have a new way of thinking about risk management. Because the question I'm really asking myself when I buy something, is this a bargain price, right? Because when something starts to go down in value, that's good, right? That's my strategy. Like, I don't buy when it's high. If it's overpriced, it's not good. So we want to buy it when it's underpriced. Now, but how do we know as investors if it's overpriced or underpriced? Well, it turns out there's a tool called RSI, right? And maybe you don't know what that means as a viewer, but what it means is to identify that risk, right? So that's what it means. So why don't we take a look at that?
Fantastic.
Yeah, so let's take a look at so far, one of the best strategies I've used, right, to identify the risk. Let's start with the 1-day one. You can see that as we are crashing down, right, that at some point it went below 30, and that's what you're really looking for. Anytime it goes below that 30 level, it means this is a bargain price. So this is exactly where it went. When it went to 33, you can see that these are aligned, right? 33,000 is a bargain price. So the tool that we want to use, right? And you can see in the past, anytime that it went to, like, this was March of last year, we went a little bit lower, and prior to that, then so when it goes to these levels, it's usually followed by a pump. And you can see that, of course, that's exactly what happened here. We had a massive pump, of course, right after the halving. But in this case, what I'm really saying is that that's primarily the tool. But in a time base, like if you go to 4-hour, you will experience this at least once a month. Right now, I know during a crash, the rules change. And I've always taught that. So you got to be careful about a crash. But when it goes below, right, when it goes below that 4-hour, then it's an opportunity to buy, right? Like you can see here, very good opportunity to buy, followed by a pump. Yeah. So this is one of the ways that we look if it's overbought, and if you're getting a good bargain for what you're buying, right? So does that make sense?
Yeah. Can you go back though and show people how to actually get that tool to come up on their screen? Because some people
Okay.
don't know how to do that.
Yeah, so you would need to open an account with tradingview.com. You can get a free account. I'm not sure it will include RSI. I think it does. And then what you want to do is go to indicators on the top here, click that button, and then you're going to type in RSI. And yeah, you will just take this one right here. You could add it to your favorites. And that's what we have right now. Now I've customized this. If you wanted to customize it, you could do that as well. And you're going to do that by adjusting you've been adjusting the colors and like all that, which we've already done on this case. So yeah, so that's how you go. You're basically using a tool, which is, there's a lot of tools, of course, and that's why we have a trading course, right, to teach people how to do this. But that's one way you will identify if it's oversold, like if you're getting a bargain price. Well, how do you know if you're paying too much? Well, guess what? The opposite is also true. If it's on the top, maybe it's not, maybe it's a more high risk. The risk is very, very high, right? So if I zoom in, you might see better. So anytime it's at the top, you could say that this is like a very, very high risk. It's not a bargain price, right? So yeah, that would be very important. And if that's at the bottom like this, then it's a low risk, right? Low risk. Because you can't, yesterday we talked about the macro level of Bitcoin. You can't just look at a macro like level because Bitcoin is very volatile. It's always going down and up. So my strategy on how I trade Bitcoin is I'm looking at the lower risk, right? I would never buy Bitcoin when it's on the top. It's not part of my strategy. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah, I wanted to actually make a comment about that because obviously buying low is what everyone wants to do. But then a mistake that a lot of people make is once a stock is or once a crypto or a stock, doesn't matter what you're trading, once it's rising, everybody wants to see how high can it go. But as it continues to go higher, the risk actually begins to increase because let's say you're in profit, but it's hard for people sometimes emotionally to let go, to think of, but if I sell now, sure, I'll have doubled my money, but maybe I could triple it. And that's a dangerous place to be. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, then it's this relationship, right, between fear and greed. So that's why in my trading course and in what we teach is the beautiful state philosophy is that we should not be trading from a state of fear or from a state of greed. Greed comes from like suffering, come from scarcity, like you don't have enough, so you want more, right? Instead of trading from a state of gratitude so that you're making money, you should take profits as it's going up. So you're cash positive. There's some people who may have not sold everything. And I'm one of those person. There was maybe 10% that I did not sell before the crash. And I just held on to it. I did not sell it at all because everybody thought we were going to go much higher, right? And we can know that the local top was 69,000. So I started buying some altcoins here and I still did not sell them. And I'll just keep them. That's fine. I actually stake them and just wait until we break through in the next altcoin season. I'm going to start to sell. But it's very important, I think, for people to understand that we don't want to trade from an emotion too much. What are the rules of trading? Like, what is the logic, right? The rules is the way I like to see, because there's successful traders have certain rules that they follow and they don't break. And but I know it's an emotional game and some people have a hard time out of fear. They break the rules. I've had some of my students do that. And and if they have leverage, they lost a lot of money. Now I was able to coach them out of it, but some of my students made that mistake. So I know what it means when people are feeling fear. The level of intelligence go down and we start to not follow the plan anymore. That's why as a successful trader, you have to learn to master your emotion, not just learn the logic of trading.
Yeah, great point. So many people don't think emotion has anything to do with trading. Well, it can, in terms of in a negative way, it can affect you. So like you said, there are rules to trading. And part of that is learning the rules of trading, right? And
yes,
you check out Michael's course, crypto trading course for sure. We'll leave a link down in the description. But one of the things about one of the things about, obviously managing risk is, well, we just talked about one question today. Michael's got 4 others. I think we'll save those for another video. Maybe we'll make a couple more videos about managing risk because it's such an important topic.
Yeah. Quickly, before we end today's video, we want to mention that where are we going next, right? Because I did talk about that. So let's just take a look at this, right? Like right now, yesterday, if you remember, right, we were talking about that we were on this support. It was very strong, like support. You can see there and there as well. So now we're pumping, right? We broke through this like level of like resistance. So it's a bit of a breakthrough. And we're going to revisit this 45. And we've already tested it once and 2. And now we're probably going to go there a 3rd time to revisit that. If we break through this level, it will be very good for Bitcoin. And then we could talk about some other like levels, which I would say next level of resistance, probably 48,000 would be a level to look at. But still, if you followed my trade and let's say you had bought at 42 and hold on 14%, but actually if you followed my trade back here, if you've been following my channel all the way to 45, it's already 36%. If we make it the way there, it's 42%. So make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like the content, press like on the video if you've enjoyed today's session on making money in crypto.
Fantastic. Well, listen, to finish off, remember, you've got to have the right thinking when it comes to trading crypto. And Michael talked about that, about not giving into fear, not trading from a place of fear, trading from a beautiful state. Also, you need the right tools. That RSI tool is a great tool to figure out is what you're buying. Are you buying it at a bargain? Because that's the best way to manage risk. And then remember what Warren Buffett says. I love that quote. The market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. So let's be patient investors. Until next time, we'll see you guys later.
Make sure to subscribe to the channel and press like. Smash that like button. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.